Hello and welcome back to coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Modern Open here in sunny Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Elliot Raff. Say hi, Elliot.
Hi, Elliot.
We have 76 players today. We are moving into round number 2, where we're going to be watching two players that we know quite well here on the Apex series. But before we do that, we have a metagame breakdown for you. So, Elliot, why don't you give us a rundown of the top decks in the field today?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had 76 players today. The most popular deck in the room, the most popular deck from the Pro Tour a couple of weeks ago, that's Goryo's Vengeance, coming in with 10 copies, so about 13% of the field. We then have Affinity. We saw a copy last round. That's our next most popular deck with 8 copies. And then Control Variants and Grixis Reanimator, each with 7 copies. Boros Energy and Eldrazi Tron with 5. And a few other decks, including the one that we're about to see on camera here, Izzet Prowess, Belcher, and Blink, all with 4 copies.
Yeah, a pretty diverse field. We have 76 players and no deck is above 15% of the metagame. I think that's a very healthy indicator for the format. One thing I do want to note, though, is that one of our previous champions, Jacob Fumich, played Goryo's Vengeance somewhat recently with Quantum Riddler. I don't want to say he put it on the map, but his win definitely is a factor in it becoming one of the more popular decks at the Pro Tour just a few weeks ago. I think that overall, the addition of Quantum Riddler has really changed the nature of the ephemerate decks, and I think that the adoption of it is not surprising in the slightest.
Oh yeah, I mean just an extremely powerful card. We're seeing it adopted in Goryo's Vengeance. We're seeing the previous Orsoff Blink decks switch over to Esper primarily because of Quantum Riddler, and it has so much utility and value even with Ephemerate, but also with Psychic Frog being able to discard down to a low number of
Yeah,
cards, pump the frog, draw
we saw that a
additional.
few times. It was quite
Yeah,
good. Quite
and
good.
we might be seeing that as well this round as we're going to be watching Goryo's Vengeance in the hands of Joseph Wagner
Yeah,
go up against Ryan Hayes on Izzet Prowess.
yeah. So we've seen quite a bit of the Goryo's Vengeance deck over the last few months. I think that one deck that was kind of falling off the radar a bit was this Izzet Prowess deck that Ryan Hayes is playing. Our champion from yesterday picking this up, a little bit surprising to me, but the nature of the strategy just very straightforward. Tons of cheap creatures that gain some value when you play things like Preordain, Lightning Bolt, Mishra's Bauble, and we're pairing that with the ultra powerful Quarry Steel Cutter, recently banned in Standard, I believe, right? Quarry
Yeah,
Steel.
absolutely.
And then Expressive Iteration, a card that has long since been a very powerful part of Izzet strategies in Modern.
Yeah, I mean, the Izzet Prowess deck is really looking to close the game out quickly, especially against something like Goryo's Vengeance that does have some spot removal, some interaction. Solitude we see here, the full 4 copies from Joseph Wagner, but other than that, doesn't play to the board super well. It's really just the Solitudes and the Prismatic endings
Mm-hmm.
that you'll see to get rid of these cheap creatures. We'll see if Ryan can close the game before Joseph can land one of his big threats like a
Mm-hmm.
Traxa.
All right, well, the players are ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down for round number 2. Closer to the camera, you're going to have Ryan Hayes on your left playing Izzet Prowess. His opponent, Joseph Wagner, the close to the camera on your right, playing Goryo's Vengeance. Looks like Ryan won the die roll, so we're going to be on the play. Turn 1, Thundering Falls tapped, and that's going to leave on top. Back to Wagner. We have Surveilland of our own. Meticulous Archive, top card, stays as well. Back to Hayes.
And we'll see what kind of threats Hayes is able to develop. Looks like Dragon's Rage Channeler is going to be the first one to hit the battlefield.
Nothing to pair with it just yet. Hayes, likes these prowess style creatures. Dragon Rage Chandler doesn't get as big as Monastery Swiftspear, though.
No, I mean, it's definitely important to set up Delirium for cards like Violent Urge, which is a card out of Duskmourn that we've seen these Izzet Prowess
Yeah,
decks adopt.
kind of taking the spot of Teamer Battle Rage because it costs 1 full mana less.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that 1 mana is everything. It gets +1/+0 first strike. If there are 4 or more cards in your 4 or more card types in your graveyard, double strike instead. And the Dragon's Rage Channeler just a great piece of selection, more so than anything else. Being able to line up your draws for subsequent turns and find what these prowess decks need in any given situation.
So interesting spot here. Hayes had a fetch land, could choose to not play anything to kind of bluff Spell Pierce maybe. Gonna go ahead and use his mana efficiently though, so that we get Surveils with the Dragon Rage Channeler. This does leave a small window for Wagner to resolve something like Faithful Mending if he had it, but doesn't have any responses. And we're gonna go back to Haze for turn number 3. Here's Expressive Iteration, gonna peel the top 3, 1 to hand, 1 to exile, but no, meets a Spell Pierce from Wagner.
Yeah, and that is Joseph Wagner's only main deck copy of Spell Pierce. Choosing to have it go after the card Advantage spell for Expressive Iteration. I think Joseph's sensing some weakness on Ryan's part here. You know, the Channeler came down on turn 2. A Lava Dart was pointed upstairs without really any aggressive benefit, like a Slick Shot Show Off or Monastery Swift Spear on board. I think Joseph knows that if he can contain these first couple turns, he'll be massively advantaged.
Yeah, I mean, this Prowess deck doesn't do a great job of disrupting the opponent, has just a very light smattering of interaction. So, you know, if your life total is as high as it is right now on turn number 3 at 17, still is Joseph Wagner, you got to be doing a fist pump. Now it's all about how do you start turning the game around in your favor? Is it Solitude time? Are we going to try to reanimate an Atraxa? Or is it just going to be something like Psychic Frog? Or even just Quantum Riddler?
Yeah, it looks like Joseph did just pick up a Solitude, so has an answer to the Dragon's Rage Channeler should he choose to go in that direction. We'll see a Plains come down, and this will be Psychic Frog hitting the battlefield.
Yeah, a nice one here. Let's get Psychic Frog on the screen because this one has single-handedly reshaped multiple formats. Banned in Legacy due to its very strong nature when combined with cheap and free counterspells. Determined as just good enough for Modern without needing to be banned, Psychic Frog sees a ton of play in the format.
Yeah, I mean, here we really see every mode on Psychic Frog being used to its fullest in the Goryo's Vengeance deck, right? It's a discard outlet if Joseph happens to find Atraxa or Griselbrand to dump into the yard to reanimate with Goryo's Vengeance. It's also just a great threat on its own. It's capable of carrying a game, providing that constant stream of card advantage, and even closing out games late in combination with things like Quantum Riddler. Doesn't interact so much with the Ephemerate game plan, but it's just, at this point, I think it's safe to say a pillar of the Modern format.
All right, and just a tapped Steam Vents, land number 4 for Ryan Hayes, and passing of the turn. No answer to the Psychic Frog, and now Wagner starts to march. We have a lot of potential here thanks to the Psychic Frog.
Yeah, and you do see Ryan's hand is very aggressive, right? It looks like a couple of mutagenic growths and a second lava dart. Not even having another card type to put into the graveyard to get this Dragon's Rage Channeler online. And this is going to be Quantum Riddler here from Joseph Wagner, drawing one card so far. We'll see if he does have the Ephemerate to go with it, keep this Riddler around. But it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. We're just going to send the Riddler off to exile to come back later, potentially.
Yeah, and no attack with the Psychic Frog either. So Wagner here, not interested in discarding any cards, not interested in playing offense at all, just wants to play max prevent, max defense against this Prowess deck. And we'll see if it ends up paying off. Psychic Frog loves to get into the red zone, loves to be attacking so that you draw those extra cards, but sometimes it's better to just squat.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan did pick up another threat there. I think that was Monastery Swift Spear as the draw for turn, but it's just opting to pass back, perhaps wary of Solitude, Ephemerate, or something of that nature. And I think Joseph actually just picked up his one main deck copy of Pest Control.
That's what I was about to point out. That one is tough for decks like Prowess to deal with sometimes because their threat suite centers around 1 mana. But Ryan here, playing around that Solitude Ephemerate by not playing the second creature, I think is really smart.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Joseph opted not to Ephemerate the Quantum Riddler, so Ryan might be able to assume that there's no Ephemerate hanging out, but I think this is just going to be a hard cast Solitude on end step here from Joseph Wagner.
Yeah, and there we see it. Solitude comes down. Let's get Solitude on screen. 5 cost, 3/2 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target creature and gain life equal, or the controller gains life equal to its power. And it has the pitch ability, evoke exile white card from your hand. These elementals, they have become a very big part of Modern, and I believe 2 of them are banned. Fury and Grief both banned, but Solitude still really high up there, and now thanks to the Quantum Riddlers making Ephemerate quite strong again, I think that Solitude Ephemerate is just back on the menu.
Yeah, we will see Ryan try to get some more value out of this Dragon's Rage Channeler, looking like it's going to be a double Lava Dart going after the Solitude. Perhaps to enable some Delirium, gain a little bit more life off the Solitude trigger, but really to get the life linker off of the battlefield. And it looks like that is what's going to happen here. Ryan does not have Delirium quite yet, I don't believe.
He did hit a creature, and I think he has Lavadar, Expressive Land, and now the Monstrous Swift Spear. So I think that last Lavadar did hit Delirium, so he will gain the 3.
Yes, you're correct.
But he was missing Delirium for quite some time. Now we're going to go back to Wagner. Has a clear board and a Psychic Frog on the move. Here it comes in for 1. We're going to deal 1 damage, draw a card. This is a spot that I would love to see players experiment with being more aggressive. I think that cards like Psychic Frog and in the past, Psychotog, right, really rewarded players for understanding each piece of cardboard in your hand can be multiple things. And with cards like Psychic Frog, they can just translate to damage. And with Ryan at such a high life total, I would be looking to discard at least 1 extra land that's in there, maybe like a creature that I'm not really planning on playing, something like that, just to put more pressure on the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph certainly is adopting the control stance in this matchup, right? So keeping the board clear is what he's trying to do, but he also knows that that Ryan is light on threats at the moment. Joseph has multiple solitudes in hand. We're going to see another one come down right now, and really he's just trying to kill every threat that Ryan's presenting until he can line up Atraxa plus Goryo's Vengeance. I think I did see an Atraxa in hand, but might be missing the Goryos at the moment.
Yeah, he's also got 6 mana, so maybe he even just needs the green source so that he can hardcast it from hand. But even if no Atraxa enters play this game, I don't think Joseph Wagner can possibly lose. Still at 15 life, has so much, variation at his disposal in terms of what he can do. Extremely large hand, and it's only getting bigger thanks to Psychic Frog drawing extra cards.
Yeah, and now we see this Solitude, living for the moment is a really big deal as well, just because of the lifelink. Just every action that Joseph is taking or has available to him just seems like it's lining up perfectly against what Ryan's trying to do.
Yeah, it looks like we're thumbing a removal spell here. I thought he might go for pest control, but I believe that's Fatal Push.
That's a Prismatic Ending.
Prismatic Ending. So exile on that. We're going to attack in here for a little bit, and we're discarding the Faithful Mending. So Wagner agreeing with the stance of discarding a few of the extras just to do some extra damage.
Yeah, it looks like we'll get a die here when we can to represent that pump on the frog.
Okay. Let's go check on that, because that Psychic Frog should be +1 counter. All right, there we go. Thanks to our director for making sure that happened. And now we're going to go back to the game. Ryan Hayes plays Expressive Iteration. Top 3 cards, finds a couple of Slickshot Show-Offs in a land.
Yeah, I mean, Slickshot Show-Off is definitely the threat that Ryan wants to see here. It's certainly the most explosive, so Ryan might try to line up a turn where Joseph thinks the shields are down, maybe doesn't have a Solitude or an Ephemerate lined up, and really might be trying to one-shot Joseph from 18, which the Izzet Prowess deck is more than capable of doing. So we will see another card being discarded to the Psychic Frog here, and the attack will be for 6, which is definitely important because it knocks a full turn off of the clock.
With Quantum Riddler in exile as well in the Warp Zone, I think Wagner just has lethal next turn. We can play the Quantum Riddler, and then with the trigger on the stack, discard all but 1 card, draw 2, and then that plus all the stuff in hand. It should just be more than enough, but on top of that, we have another Solitude in hand. We probably have an Ephemerate hanging out. I know there's a Pest Control, all sorts of stuff that Wagner can do. Here comes Slickshot Show-Off, though. Ryan going to take a shot at it, though. We got a Mutagenic Growth. This is going to make it 5 power. I know there's a Lavadar hanging out in there. I think I saw a second Mutagenic Growth.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the flurry of spells. I mean, Joseph does have this covered with that Solitude at the front of his hand, but we'll see at what point he is going to choose to interact. Violent Urge, the follow up, so that will give +1/+0 and double strike to the show off. So that's another 3 points being added on as well. So this is currently an attack for 16, I believe.
Yeah, and then Lavadar is going to be 1 damage down to 20, and then also plus 2 more from Slick Shot.
Yeah, so this is actually the full 20 right now. Joseph is forced to interact here.
Okay, goes for another Solitude. Does Ryan have any sort of protection here? All right, no. And now we're going to eat Slick Shot Show Off. We're going to give Ryan a bunch of life, but that life will be stripped away in just 1 attack here.
Yeah, so Ryan will gain 10 life back up to 20, but is now staring down 9 power, and quite possibly could be a lethal crackback with the Psychic Frog, depending on what Joseph does have available. Looks like we are going to start discarding. That is Grizzlebrand going to the bin.
And then we have Goryo's for it too.
Yep.
And that's going to be all she wrote. Joseph Wagner, an impressive game #1 win there against our champion from yesterday, Ryan Hayes. Izzet Prowess not really standing up to all those Solitudes too well. But we are going to be moving into the sideboard games. And because Wagner's going to be on the play, Elliot, why don't you give us a rundown of his sideboard and how you think he's going to approach this matchup?
All right, so Joseph Wagner's sideboard is 1 Celestial Purge, 4 Consigned to Memory, 1 Emperor of Bones, 1 Fatal Push, 2 Mystical Dispute, 1 Nihil Spellbomb, 1 Surgical Extraction, 1 Teferi Time Raveler, 1 Thoughtseize, and 2 Wrath of the Skies. As far as Joseph's approach to this matchup, I think he displayed it very well there in game one. He's looking to be the control element, so I expect all of this spot removal to come in. That'll be the Celestial Purge, the Fatal Push, potentially the Wrath of the Skies as well. Although I think that one's a little less effective than having spot removal, but it does deal with the Corey Steel Cutter draws a little better. I would expect those to come in, and I'm not seeing a whole lot else here.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to basically contain those early threats. I think the purge, the push, no, those are going to be okay, but it's just kind of more of the same stuff you got going on. Just going to make your deck a little more efficient, maybe trimming some of things like Tainted Indulgence, Faithful Mending, right?
Yeah, you could also see perhaps the Nihil Spellbomb coming in, cut off
Sure.
some of those Delirium synergies as well.
Other side of the table, Ryan Hayes down a game with Izzet Prowess. How do you think that his sideboard lines up in this matchup? Is there anything in particular that's going to come in? We got 4 Consigned to Memory, 2 Murktide Regent, 2 Spell Snare, 2 Surgical Extraction, 4 Unholy Heat, and the 3rd Violent Urge.
Yeah, so certainly those spell snares and the surgicals are
Mm.
the cards he's going to immediately reach for. Spell snare able to deal with both Goryo's Vengeance and Psychic Frog, so
Sure.
that's a premium sideboard option. Surgical Extraction being able to deal with the Goryo's side of the game plan as well. It wouldn't honestly surprise me to see the Murktide Regent come in. It's just kind of an additional threat that doesn't get got by something like Celestial Purge, Fatal Push, or Prismatic Ending.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little slow for the matchup, but if Ryan decides that he needs another threat that isn't so easily dealt with by this cheap spot removal, he might choose to head in that direction.
Yeah, sometimes just increasing threat density is what you got to do when your opponent's got a ton of, cheap removal, cheap interaction.
Yeah, the consigned to memories could also be an option to kind of to counter the enters the battlefield ability of Solitude.
Mm-hmm. Once you introduce, 6 to 8 cards into your plan, it becomes difficult to figure out what to side out. I mean, are we removing all the mutagenic growth, some number of creatures coming in for the Murktide Regent? It's really just a guessing game, but Ryan Hayes definitely up to the task to figure it out. He's one of the better players here in the room, if not the best.
Yeah, on the play, I would say Ryan's probably a little less likely to have the Murktides in his deck. Might just be looking for that explosive start and back it up with something like the Consigns to deal with the Solitudes.
All right, as these players shuffle up here for game #2, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to the sponsors of Apex Con and this weekend's festivities. We're sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield's a great place to build and share deck lists with your friends. All of our deck lists from today's event will be posted on our Moxfield page, and we'll put a link in the description or in the chat for you for those watching on Twitch. Players are drawing their opening hand. Let's see if they are just about ready to go. If they're going to take a mulligan. Ryan with a quick mulligan. Wagner Looks like we're going to keep 7.
Yeah, I did see an Atraxa hanging out
Oh,
there,
no.
but no, it looks like
Tossing it back.
Wagner's going down as well.
All right, zoom back out. All right, we're also sponsored by Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard's the industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies, from the Katana sleeves to the archive deck box. Check your local game store for Ultimate Guard products today. Blast off with Once Upon a Galaxy from the creators of Storvik Brawl and great Magic minds like Luis Scott Vargas and Matt Nass. Once Upon a Galaxy is an intense auto battler that's free to play on your mobile device, but is also now available on Steam. And last but not least, we are sponsored by SpiceRack.gg. SpiceRack is a great place to find a tournament with their tournament locator, but if you are a store or a tournament organizer looking to run events yourself, check out SpiceRack.gg today for all your tournament running needs. All right, 6-card hand here for both players. Let's see if we're going to keep so we can start game number 2. Ryan's going to keep, puts one back, and Wagner keeps as well. So, going to be on the play here is Ryan Hayes. Let's see if he's got a threat on turn 1.
Just a preordain for Ryan Hayes here. It does look like he did have a Slickshot show-off towards the back of his hand. Might opt to plot that one on turn 2.
It's not ops, preordained.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like, obviously, when we just use normal English speaking words, as you do.
I don't know about you. I've never used any of those.
We do just say Magic cards all the time. Just say Magic card names all the time. And I'm not sure if it's because a lot of our language is based in Magic knowledge, or if Magic cards are named after common phrases and words.
I mean, I'm sure it's a little column A, a little column B there.
Yeah.
But certainly I talk about ephemerating things in my day-to-day life all the time.
Yeah. No play here for Ryan Hayes on turn number 2. We saw that Slick Shot show off, but he's not going to do it yet. Maybe holding up something like Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, by not plotting on turn 2, is kind of trying to keep Joseph in the dark as much as possible about how Joseph plays his own turn, right? If you just go ahead and plot the show off, it means, I'm setting up for this turn. Joseph's going to have to play very shields up. Ryan might just have a slower hand that needs a little more development, looking for a little protection as well. So here we do see Joseph opting to shock in a land, I believe. Unless that's a polluted delta there. Right, that does look just
possibly
like a fetch.
know, Elliot?
Yeah, I mean, all of these beautiful extended arts cards from Joseph.
Yeah, look, we do our best. We guess. That kind of looks like a polluted delta.
I think it is. Yeah.
Could be a river of tears for all I know.
It looks like. All right, we crashed.
Right, sorry about the technical difficulties. We are back. We'll get the life total game count fixed for you in just a second. Didn't miss too much. Ryan Hayes here gonna play Expressive Iteration, finds Mishra's Bauble. See if he has a land to play. Doesn't look like it. Says go. Wagner here is gonna fetch with that River of Tears.
River of Tears is a fetch land?
No. Polluted Delta Crack, we're gonna go find Shadowy Backstreet. What's wrong with taking the Backstreets?
Oh, absolutely nothing. I'm wondering how many of our viewers know what River of Tears is anymore.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. All right, another land here for Wagner. Gonna quickly fetch. See what land he goes and gets. I'm curious what this 3-drop is. Maybe it's like Psychic Frog with a specific color of mana held up. Could be Teferi Time Raveler.
Yeah, I mean, all certainly good options. I mean, I would think tapping out for Teferi is certainly a risky play unless you've got something like a Solitude lined up, but it is going to be that frog.
Okay, and leaves open white and blue mana. This is signifying perhaps the Spell Pierce again, but also Ephemerate to protect his creature from removal.
All right, looks like we've got some technical difficulties going on with our life totals at the moment, so we'll get those sorted out for you.
Okay. 53-3. All right, we're getting there. All right, so Right now, I think life totals are roughly 17 all, something like that. I know that Hayes has taken a little bit of damage from his lands. Wagner's taking a little bit of damage from his lands. Wagner also should be up 1 game to 0. Look, sometimes technology breaks. You know.
I mean, we just had it happen ourselves here.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we did get those life totals correctly updated now.
Can we change the games manually from here? All good. All right. Psychic Frog versus Dragon Rage Channeler. I know which one I'm betting on.
Yeah, I think all glory to the Hypnotoad in that matchup.
Hypnotoad. I do kind of love that version of Psychic Frog is the one that like sees a lot of play, and it does just kind of look like Hypnotoad.
Yeah, I think both arts for Psychic Frog are great, and I'm a Futurama fan. I love the Hypnotoad art, but also kind of with the way the normal printing has its tongue hanging out when you attack with it, it's kind of just like it's taunting your opponent a bit. It's a lot of fun.
Darcy coming in for 3 damage with Delirium. Another one for Hayes here. Wagner down to 12. End of turn. We're going to discard Atraxa and play Goryo's Vengeance. And for those of you who don't really know how this works, the Goryo's Vengeance says until the beginning of your next end step. And so it could come back for the whole turn, and then you can ephemerate it.
Yeah, we did see the first Goryo's get spell snared, but Joseph has a second Goryo's Vengeance that is resolving. Atraxa hits the battlefield. We're going to resolve that enters the battlefield ability. And
All right, tell us what's happening because, man, that's a lot of cards being revealed here.
well, what's happening is Ryan Hayes is conceding upon seeing that ephemerate hiding out, which means that Atraxa was going to stick around next turn. But when Atraxa enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. You get to have you get to keep 1 card of each card type from among them. So Atraxa was going to draw anywhere from 3 to 5 cards here. It looks like it would have been an Ephemerate, a Solitude, Prismatic Ending, and a land at the very least. We'd Ephemerate the Atraxa so that it would remain on the battlefield after the Goryos would have otherwise forced a sacrifice.
Yeah, 7/7 flying lifelink vigilance, right? It gains haste from the Goryo's Vengeance. It's this really tough to deal with threat when it sticks around, and the Ephemerate makes it stick around and gives you a bunch of extra cards. It's just a nightmare.